wild animals, and wild places. They're more than a picture. They're inspiration, excitement, and adventure. Patrolling and protecting these natural resources is a first-class band of peace officers. These are the Wardens, dedicated to the preservation of our great outdoors.
Very easy to hide, they're hard to find.
This week on Wardens.
Well, let's go see if we can track them down. You know why I want to talk to you?
No.
No? What about the bait you got up there by tower?
We'll go this way. They put it out earlier this summer, like that one we were sitting on, so. I'm sure you got your licenses, but let me check them while I'm here.
The 2017 bear hunting season in Michigan's Upper Peninsula opened on September 10th. Baiting is allowed 31 days prior to that, which makes August 10th the first day you can legally put out bear bait. Bear bait can contain meat, fish, and bakery products, but no chocolate or cocoa derivatives. And on public grounds, you can't use metal containers like a barrel to bait.
The benefit of putting a barrel out like that is they don't have to come back up for weeks on end. They're very easy to hide, they're hard to find. And you can feed a bear for weeks on end off a barrel full of bait, which is illegal on public lands.
In Michigan's District 2, conservation officers Calvin Smith and Bobby Watson were up early on the first Friday of bear season. The officers knew of a couple illegal baits to check and wanted to beat the hunters to the spot.
Right there's a trail into the bait. So we'll just go up here, tuck in, wait for them to come.
With C.O. Watson in his patrol truck about a half mile from C.O. Smith monitoring the bait, the officers are hopeful the hunters show up first thing in the morning. So they wait. After an hour in the woods, with no activity, C.O. Smith decides to meet back up with C.O. Watson.
Well, let's go see if we can track them down.
As the sun comes up, the officers make a plan to canvass the area and search for the hunters using the illegal baits. They have photos of the hunters and their vehicles captured from trail cameras.
Is that the fort again?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
And that's the other one's just a picture of them at the bait.
Okay. And those are the prior ones that were on the bait prior to the start?
Yeah. Yeah, this one's August 5th. They're August 4th and August 5th. The one with the white truck is August 4th.
Do we have the Ranger and the Toyota prior?
Yeah, not the Ranger though.
Not the Ranger?
No, it's the Toyota.
Okay.
On the other side of the Upper Peninsula, in District 1, officers located a handful of baits that were started early and that utilized barrels.
Myself and Sergeant Pomeroy and Officer Brian Bacon were out here looking for early bear baits. We ended up walking and we found several bear baits in the area, but then we found this one. It's ran by some fellas from down below the bridge. We found this one and we found another barrel bait.
The COs used trail cams to ID the suspects tending the barrel baits. The barrel at this site is empty now, and officers Nate Sink and Jared Ferguson think the suspects will be up on the first full weekend of bear season to refill it.
What they do is they throw the food for the bear bait in the barrel, and they have holes in the side. So it takes a while for the bear to eat all the food instead of just laying down and eating all the food at one time. It'll take probably a week to get it out of there. So we found this one and another one. And we got information that the group was going to come up either today or tomorrow and rebait the barrel baits. So hopefully today when they show up that we'll be waiting here for them.
Hidden across the road but with a barrel in view, the COs wait for the suspects to show up to refill the illegal barrel bait. Sometimes part of the job is sitting and waiting. They never know who could drive by. When vehicles drive down the road, the COs duck down and hide as best they can so they don't give away their position.
Dang it, that wasn't him.
A little while later, another vehicle comes driving down the road.
What color is that?
It's the first full weekend of Michigan's bear season, and conservation officers across the Upper Peninsula are out watching illegal baits found earlier in the summer.
Those are the prior ones that were on the bait prior to the start?
Yeah. Yeah, this one's August 5th. They're August 4th and August 5th.
Baiting for bears can start 31 days before the season opens. In Michigan's UP, that means any baiting for bears done before August 10th is illegal. In District 1, COs Jared Ferguson and Nate Sink have been sitting on one illegal bait for most of the morning. Not only was this bait started early, but it uses a metal barrel, which you aren't allowed to use on state lands.
That's the advantages of barrels, because they just cut holes in the side and the bear just keeps playing with it and it dumps out a little food at a time. Now the waiting game.
But after waiting for hours, no one showed. The officers left empty-handed, but with plans to keep monitoring the bait. In District 2, an early morning sit for COs Calvin Smith and Bobby Watson also came up empty, but the officers knew the hunters were in the area.
Initially this morning, set up on the bait, waiting for them to come in there and check it. That didn't happen. They ended up seeing one of our patrol trucks parked half-mile away and didn't come into it. So I knew they were still in the area.
Armed with trail cam pics of the hunters and vehicles they are looking for, the officers are back in their patrol trucks as they set off to try to find the hunters.
Here's a picture of trail cam that Officer Watson and myself had set up on the bait. It's August 4th, 7:30 in the morning, carrying a bait bucket into the bait. This is the same thing, just a couple seconds later. 1 second later.
And it didn't take long before CO Smith ran into one of the hunters from the group he was looking for.
How we doing?
Good.
Good. Any luck yet?
Still looking for one.
Still looking? Okay. Yep. Do you know where they're at right now?
They were somewhere. One was over that way a couple miles and one was that way.
Okay. I actually need to talk to both of them.
Okay.
Is there a way that you can contact them?
I can try that. I couldn't get them on the radio earlier.
Okay.
They're too far away, but
All right. Okay.
I
So,
can tell them you need to talk to them.
Yeah.
See them or something.
yeah, well, see if you can reach them right now on your CB and we'll meet up with them. I just got a couple quick questions to ask them and
Okay.
you guys can get back at the hunt.
Okay.
He's able to radio to his buddies, and they show up to meet CO Smith just a couple of minutes later.
Yeah, I have a CPL.
Okay.
I do have a gun on me.
Okay. You do too?
Yeah.
Okay. Just don't grab them. We'll get along just fine.
Yep.
Kelvin, you know why I want to talk to you?
No.
No? What about the bait you got up there by Tower Haynes Road?
I don't know which Tower Haynes Road is, but.
So if you go back out to 422, take a left, go up, and you come in, there's a bait back in there.
Okay.
When did you guys start that bait?
I think
It's
13th.
Just be honest.
I honestly, I don't remember.
Okay.
But.
Well before August 10th.
Okay.
Right?
Maybe.
Maybe?
Yeah.
Okay. What'd you say if I got pictures of your truck down at the bait, you walking into the bait?
Okay.
Like on August 4th.
Okay.
You know, I won't be here doing this right now for
understand.
that. So, I understand. You know, it's training season, but those rules are in place for a reason. So.
He's ticketed for having bait out too early. In this case, it's a court-ordered $210 fine. In addition, the group can't hunt off baits that were established too early.
Any questions? Okay. All right. Well, I hope you guys good luck and hope you find a track or something. So.
Yeah, hopefully we'll find something worth running.
Yep.
A bunch of little ones and wolves.
Right. Well, I appreciate you coming to meet me and
Yeah, no.
just get this done with, and that way you guys can get back to hunting.
The state of Michigan has placed a high priority in recent years on restoring the lake sturgeon population.
67.5.
These fish are the longest lived fish in the Great Lakes. It's not uncommon for sturgeon to live to be up to 100 years old.
They have a really big mouth here, like a big vacuum cleaner. They swim along on the bottom, picking up insects and small fish, crayfish, anything they can find on the bottom and fit in their mouth they could eat.
They can grow to huge lengths. They can grow well up to 7 feet long, up to 200 pounds.
Each summer, biologists with the Michigan DNR conduct a lake sturgeon survey of the St. Clair River and Lake St. Clair.
We have the largest naturally reproducing population of lake sturgeon in the entire Great Lakes Basin.
The lake sturgeon are measured, weighed, and aged.
So you can see on the little fish, they've got really sharp scutes. These little protective armor plates on their sides here. It's really important for protecting them when they're young. You can see in this next medium-sized adult fish, those scutes are almost completely worn down. They're totally smooth just from living on the bottom and rubbing on things.
In addition, biologists tag the sturgeon so they can track them in the future.
We look at how well the fish are growing. We look at how well the fish are surviving. We get an estimate of how many fish, how many individuals are out there in different size categories. So that allows us to look at how our fisheries regulations are protecting the population, because this is one of the few places in the Great Lakes where we actually have an open season for lake sturgeon during the year.
The population of lake sturgeon in the St. Clair-Detroit River system is stable. Across the Great Lakes, numbers are slowly getting better.
If you look at lake sturgeon across the Great Lakes Basin as a whole, their populations now are just a fraction of what they were, say, in the early 1800s.
Commercial length is 40.1. Girth is big. 30.0 on the girth.
I mean, the population that we have here is a treasure, and they're absolutely awesome to work with. When you're holding a fish that is older than you or your grandparents, thinking about what that fish has been through in its life, where it's been in its life, holding a fish that weighs 100 pounds, I mean, it's just an absolutely awesome experience to have.
The first 5 days of Michigan's bear hunting season is bait-only hunting. After that, the use of dogs is allowed. About 20% of all harvested bear in Michigan were taken by dog hunters, and dog hunters had a higher success rate than bait hunters in 2017. In District 1, Sergeant Mark Pomeroy is out on the first day you can use dogs.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, well, take a look at your tag, do the formal process, and that's why you buy it, right?
Yep.
So, all right. So,
Sergeant Pomeroy checks the hunter's license and finds no issues. In Michigan, every successful bear hunter must bring their bear to a check station within 72 hours. At the station, a wildlife biologist takes a tooth from the bear for aging purposes.
We collect a tooth from every bear that comes in, and we can send that tooth with the root intact down to our lab and take a really thin cross-section of it and stain that tooth, and then we can count the rings, and that'll give us the age of that animal. There it is.
That's all you need, huh?
Amazing. We turned loose, it made a big loop, and we killed 127 yards away from the bait where we turned loose at. Couldn't believe it.
That far, hey?
Went one big loop all the way around.
The tree for you?
Yep.
Even better. So.
Yeah.
For your first.
Then the problem
Well,
was,
that's I told him. I said it's 127 yards off the road. I said we could be in here a mile.
Yeah.
And then guess what? We're doing all day.
Oh yeah. I mean, what time is it now? 8:30?
I took my watch off. So yeah, I mean it's.
You'll be back for breakfast. So.
just about.
So.
Yeah.
The only problem was we thought it was going to stay up in the tree.
Oh, it hung up. It
Did
was
it?
going to get hung up in the tree. And I'm like, and of course a pine tree that you can't get around. And
Nice.
yeah.
So, well.
Yep.
Beautiful bear. Was it male or female?
Female.
Okay.
Yep. I'm guessing 150. I'm guessing some, maybe a little smaller, but it's hard to judge. I mean, it was fat. Let me tell you.
There was a lot of complaining pulling it out. Let's put it that way.
They're difficult to drag out. They're like a bowl of jello.
you know.
The dogs get nicked up at all? Or?
Nope.
Okay.
By the time we got there, it was almost up top of that pine tree.
Yeah.
He was up there.
Well, it could have just treed right away instead of making all that loop and coming back. But
Well, then we wouldn't have got any dogs in there.
So-
That wouldn't have been fun either.
yeah.
So.
How was it? Good experience for you to get
Yep,
out and run?
Yep, got to see him run across the road.
Nice.
After we missed it the first time going one way, and he doubled back. So
No. The good part is you get the dogs home before it gets hot. It's going to get warm out
They
again.
they
so.
said we're gonna get back, get it in the freezer,
Nice.
and all that good stuff. So.
The 2017 bear season starts September 10th and runs into late October in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. Baiting for bears can start 31 days prior to the season opening. Any baits started before that are illegal. It's also illegal to use metal containers like barrels to bait on state land. In District 1, officers know of a couple illegal bear baits. They were started early and use metal barrels. Using trail cams, they ID'd the hunters setting the baits. But after sitting on the baits for an entire day, they haven't seen the hunters in person yet. Two weeks after the season opened, Sergeant Mark Pomeroy happens to run into them while out on patrol.
How's it going?
Good. Yourself?
Good, you?
Get a bear?
No, nothing today.
Nothing, eh?
Too hot.
Yeah, it is hot. So.
Too hot.
With you? Okay. You guys got a kill tag?
Yep.
All right. Just take a look. I'm sure you got your licenses, but let me check them while I'm here. And if I see you again, then we don't got to check them on you. So.
This group of four contains a father-daughter hunting duo and two guides. The two guides are the ones Sergeant Pomeroy suspects of baiting early.
Okay, good. Good. All right. We'll get you going. Yep, you're good to go. I'm sure you got all your guns cased up and everything.
I got one cased, and her rifle's in there, and I got two concealed weapons in the thing. I don't know if you want my concealed weapons or not.
You're fine.
Okay.
You're fine. Appreciate you telling us. Is this ain't from today then?
No,
So-
over in the Newberry unit.
Oh, okay.
Sergeant Pomeroy checks the group's licenses and lets them continue on. He wants to find where they were coming from and see if they were using more illegal bait.
All right. Okay. We'll go this way.
After a little searching, Sergeant Pomeroy finds another barrel bait.
They put it out earlier this summer, like that one we were sitting on. So this has obviously been in here probably all summer. So we were able to make contact with the group that we've gathered evidence to show that they're responsible for putting out a string of illegal barrels on public land to aid in their guide service. So now that we're able to physically put them at one of the locations, we'll be able to close out this case shortly here.
4 days later, Sergeant Pomeroy and Officer Jared Ferguson found the two guides and a third partner. The trio confessed to using the barrel baits and to putting them out before the legal start date.
What makes them illegal is they're placed out before the August 10th start of baiting for bears, so they're placed out early. You're also not allowed to have any metal materials, barrels, tires, man-made materials out on public lands.
All three were ticketed, and in this case, each paid court-ordered fines of $410. Also, they weren't allowed to hunt off the illegal baits for the remainder of the season. Wild animals and wild places. They're more than a picture. They're inspiration, excitement, and adventure. Patrolling and protecting these natural resources is a first-class band of peace officers. These are the Wardens, dedicated to the preservation of our great outdoors.
But wrong is wrong, and he knew it, and I will say he did admit it, his wrongdoing.
How many of these fish were legally hooked in the mouth?
They went to the side. I mean, they were not the one.
All of them were foul hooked?
Yeah.
You got to do it the way that your dad's doing it.
Salmon fishing in Michigan is big business. Each year, more than $4 billion is pumped into the state's economy due to sport fishing, with salmon fishing a big part of that. Within the Michigan border, there is more than 20% of the world's available freshwater. With that many opportunities for anglers, it requires a lot of attention from Michigan conservation officers. In Michigan's District 4, Lieutenant Steve Burton, Sergeant Carla Soper, and Officer Casey Virali are watching anglers on the Manistee River. In Michigan, foul hooking or snagging is illegal. It is also illegal to attempt to snag a fish and to keep a snagged fish. Fish that are inadvertently snagged must be immediately returned to water.
The officers were on the opposite side of the river and observed several people who were, I believe, retaining foul-hooked fish.
One of the fishermen in this group of 4 was observed to have kept foul-hooked fish, and another one doesn't have his license with him.
You do have a license, it's in our system, but it is a misdemeanor to not have it in your possession. You're supposed to have the piece of identification that you purchased the license with, and then you need to have that actually on you. Okay. In this instance, we were able to check it, so we're going to give you a verbal warning for that, okay? Yeah. But you got to have that on you, just like your deer tags and your base license when you're out hunting, have that fishing license with you.
What we're going to do today is we are going to issue a citation for keeping a foul hooked fish, it's called, because it was caught near the tail.
Other than
we're also going to take the fish and we're going to write you the citation. He's going to explain how to take care of that, okay, once that's done. Okay. What we're not going to do, and we appreciate your service, of course, is we're both vets as well. And we're not going to take your fishing rod or anything like that tonight. All right, you can keep fishing if you want, that's fine.
Nope, I'm done.
Just remember that fish got to be caught in the mouth to keep. If not, it's got to go back in the water, okay?
No problem.
All right.
He's issued a citation for keeping foul-hooked fish, and in this case, the court-ordered fine is $345. That includes a $10 a pound fee for illegally taking this 9-pound fish.
But wrong is wrong, and he knew it, and I will say he did admit it, his wrongdoing, and he knew he had one coming, and he got it. Yeah. And he wasn't happy about it, but at least he was respectful.
The next day, CO and Travis Dragamer are watching a group of anglers from the other side of the river. After watching the group for nearly an hour, the officers think they know what's going on.
Basically what they're doing is they're standing back on the high banks watching the fish come up on the gravel beds out in front of them, casting out, trying to land that spoon just ahead of them, so when they get the line tight, they can rip sideways and sweep that spoon across, trying to snag into the fish.
They watch for just a little while longer and then start to make their way across the river.
How you guys doing?
Hey, Chester. Chester. Hey.
Fall fishing is a popular pastime in Michigan. The salmon run means you can see fish up close and personal. It's also a busy time for Michigan conservation officers. In District 4, there are hundreds of rivers and streams to patrol. COs and Travis Dragomer are on the Manistee watching a group they suspect of intentionally snagging salmon.
So it's a pretty classic example of sight snagging per se. It's not the quasi all-out blatant snagging of, cast out into a deep hole, jerk 4 or 5 times, random snagging. This is more of a 1, maybe 2 rips across a gravel bed, specifically targeting one individual fish that is in their strike zone.
After monitoring this group for almost an hour, the officers boat to the other side.
Stop.
How you doing, guys? You guys could just back up from the bank for me here.
Chester.
The reason we're making contact with you guys, we've been watching you guys for 45 minutes, roughly, from the opposite side, okay? Watching your actions, watching you stand up here on the high banks, watching the fish come up on the gravel, casting out above them, cranking close, and ripping sideways, okay? We observed all that. We even heard somebody say, you guys better be careful when a boat comes down, you don't want to be seen snagging. When you're doing that, you're sight fishing, throwing at the fish that you're seeing come up on the gravel, you're ripping at them, you're not giving them the opportunity to bite. You're just trying to hook them, plain and
So you
simple.
think they'll really bite? I mean, do they bite?
Yes. Yes. I worked late last night. I probably saw 30 fish landed, and of those 30 fish, probably 2/3 of them were legally hooked right in the mouth with flies, spawn, things like that, okay? They will bite, plain and simple. The method you guys were using was snagging, okay? You guys know it. You even talked about it. We could hear the conversation. You guys knew what you were doing, okay? Be straight up with me. That method of fishing, how many of these fish were legally hooked in the mouth?
They went to the side. I mean, they were
All of them were foul hooked?
Yeah.
Okay. Who caught them?
Well, we're gonna like. I caught one.
You caught one?
0.
You got one? How about you?
Got one.
You got one? None? Okay. How many fish do we have total?
Got 2.
3.
Got 2.
Just 3? I thought there was one on a stick. That one get laid down? Okay, so you got 4. You got 4 total. Okay.
The 5 anglers are all issued citations, 3 for snagging fish and 2 for attempting to snag. In this case, the court-ordered fines for snagging are $485 each. The court-ordered fines for attempting to snag are $365 each. The officers allow the anglers to keep their fishing equipment, and the seized fish are donated to a local food bank. Officer has been a CO for more than 15 years. He's seen it all when it comes to tackle, and says when fishing for salmon, a lot of times going simple is best.
This year, as simple as it looks, right now is probably one of the most effective things going. And you're just fishing with a trout bead, single point hook. The single point hook can't exceed a 1/2 inch in gap from point to shank. And as long as they're throwing that, hook's at the bottom, trout beads within a reasonable distance. I would usually say 3-4 inches is reasonable. Some guys will put it all the way down, some guys will be a little bit higher. Principle of that is the bead's coming through the water like basically like a salmon egg floating down the river. Fish bites the bead, you set the hook, buries in the corner of the fish's mouth.
In District 3, Sergeant Mark Depew is headed to the Boyne River.
We got a complaint from RAP, Report All Poaching Hotline, that there was somebody snagging down at the Boyne River.
Once he gets there, he finds a spot on the opposite side of the river so he can monitor the suspect. Just a couple of minutes after setting up, Sergeant Depew observes the suspect reel in a foul-hooked fish.
See how it comes in backwards? It's hooked in the tail. See it hooked in the tail? So he's keeping it. And then watch where they put it.
Find turtles. Come, find turtles.
In an effort to track and study the eastern box turtle, the Michigan DNR uses Boykin Spaniels to help find them.
You find a turtle?
Because the dogs are way more effective at finding box turtles than humans are. It usually takes between 30 and 50 hours for a human to find a turtle, just in surveying. And the dogs take, depending on where we take them, sometimes they'll find a turtle every half hour.
It is very similar to hunting upland game birds with these flushing dogs. They're not pointers, they're flushers. And yeah, they trail a turtle the same as they would a pheasant or a cottontail rabbit.
Once found, researchers notch the turtle's shell, take pictures, weigh and measure the turtle, and in some instances attach a small transmitter so they can track the locale.
So that we can see what type of habitats are they using, what is their regular behavior, habitat use, and how does that vary throughout the year. So we can apply certain techniques to areas that they're not during times of year. We know not to use fire and grass during June because that's when they're all here nesting.
The DNR also tracks the eastern box turtle because the loss of one adult can be significant to the population.
It can take box turtles, their entire lifetime, which can be, 80 plus years sometimes, just to replace themselves, let alone keep the population going.
Good girl, Meek. Yeah, big one. When a dog gets birdie on a turtle, the tails begin to wag furiously and the pace of the hunt picks up dramatically.
John Rucker's dogs are extra gentle when picking up a turtle, which is something he trains them to do.
Of course, the shell of a box turtle does not harden until the turtle is about 7 or 8 years old. And so a tooth could easily puncture a turtle shell when they're young. And so they're trained to be very, very soft-mouthed, just like a bird dog.
Rucker and his dogs have been hunting turtles for various research projects for more than a decade, and he's glad to have a hand in helping preserve the eastern box turtle.
Turtles are actually older than dinosaurs. The crocodilians and the turtles predate dinosaurs, so you really are dealing with a relic.
The north and south branches of the Boyne River combined for approximately 22 miles of mainstream. Located in Michigan's District 3, it's named after the River Boyne in Ireland. Sergeant Mark Depew is set up on the bank of the Boyne River, watching this fisherman. He had gotten the tip from the state's Report All Poaching hotline that the angler was snagging salmon. Snagging and attempting to snag are illegal in Michigan. Sergeant Depew observes the suspect snag a salmon near the tail.
And then watch where they put it. The guy in the white caught it, and it was hooked in the tail. Now we'll see if he puts it back. Huh? Well, good for him.
But the suspect lets the fish go. Shortly after, the suspects hook up another salmon. And again, the suspect releases the fish. Sergeant Depew notices the angler is younger and decides to talk to him about his technique.
That's not how you fish, okay? You're supposed to throw it out there like your dad is right now. But I've been watching you, you're throwing it out there over the fish and then reefing back, and you caught how many?
8, 9.
That's why, right? You are in fact snagging, okay? Right. And you're 15, and it's got to be a learning experience for you. I could write you a ticket, write your dad a ticket. I'm not going to do that because you seem like a nice kid and you seem like you're not going to do that again, okay? You got to do it the way that your dad's doing it because you're doing it in all kinds. And someone called on you, someone reported you. So everybody's watching. Just because a game warden isn't here doesn't mean we're not here. All of these people out here are game wardens too, and they're watching, and they text it. They texted it to actually a video of you doing what you're doing.
Well, like, what am I exactly doing wrong?
You're throwing it out there, it drops. Look, watch me. We're throwing it out there, it drops, and you rip it. And you rip it at an angle parallel to the ground. And what that does is that pulls that hook next to the fish, and it catches the fish wherever it is. And that's called snagging. You have to catch the fish in the mouth. But if it is caught in the mouth, then you're legal to keep the fish, right?
Uh-huh.
Do you have any questions on what you did wrong?
Not no more.
Okay, so exactly what your dad's doing, do exactly what he does.
He decides to give the young angler a warning and hopes his talk is a learning experience.
I remember when I was 15, I sometimes didn't make all the right decisions. So I talked to him about that, and he agreed that he was doing what he was doing, and then we talked to Dad, and Dad confirmed that his son was doing that, and he was trying to correct him, but as we know, sometimes they don't listen. So Dad was on board with what we did, and we just gave him a verbal warning and let him go, and hopefully he learned his lesson, turn him around without writing him a big fine.
Not all rivers and tributaries are open to salmon fishing year-round in Michigan. Some close for portions of the year in order to help natural reproduction. In District 4, the Betsy River has been closed for over a week when CO spots a vehicle parked near the river.
Basically, I'm just looking for indicators of whether they might be fishing or hiking or anything that might clue me into the direction they went or other violations to potentially watch for. Numbers, looking at the positioning of gear, trying to figure out how many people I might be looking for and or encountering this situation. The passenger seat is slid forward, folded. There's nothing on the seat in the back seat on this side. There's a box of waiter box there. I think we're probably looking for 3 people, most likely fishing.
Before he can leave the parking lot, he spots 3 people fishing the closed river.
Basically, these guys are just standing here waiting for fish to move up the river. Instead of actively going and seeking fish, they're just standing on one spot, probably waiting for them to come across a shallow spot. I can see there's 3 poles in that. I haven't been able to make out anything as far as their tackle yet. All of them have their rod tips laying in the water, which a lot of times to me is an indicator of some potential illegal gear.
He tries to set up to watch the anglers, but they opt to leave this spot and start walking back to their vehicle.
How's it going?
Good, how you guys doing?
Oh, not too bad.
How's the fishing?
Haven't really caught anything yet. We've seen a couple nice ones rolling through.
You haven't caught anything, eh?
Nope.
All right.
Officer walks the 3 back to the vehicle to check licenses and gear.
You guys pay attention to the fish regulations pretty good?
Pretty decently.
Okay.
Saw you got the sign over there posted up too.
Which sign is that?
There's a little sign on the bridge.
Okay.
To the bridge.
Okay. Did you read that?
Yep.
Okay. So what'd that say?
It said you can have a 3/8 treble with an artificial body.
Correct. So, what that's meaning is if you look at it more thoroughly, it says you're not allowed to fish with a treble hook unless it is attached to a body or a lure of some sort, meaning a spinner, spoon, or stick bait. So this setup that you guys have here, I mean, plain and simply, guys, I've been doing this a long time. I know what you're doing with this. You're not trying to throw it out there and retrieve it and have the fish hit it. You're just trying to hook fish. I'm not going there with you guys, okay? Because we got other violations. One, you guys are fishing with treble hooks. Can't do it. That's no longer allowed, unless it's on a spinner, spoon, or stick bait. Secondly, this portion of the Betsy River is closed to fishing right now.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it closed on September 30th. Okay.
All three are issued citations for fishing closed waters and using the wrong gear.
Fortunately for them, they didn't have any fish, because then the price of the violation goes up significantly, and we start tacking on restitution at $10 a pound for the fish.
In this case, the court-ordered fine is $660 each.